don't you let me in, oh baby, be by your side.
Welcome everyone to Barely Friends Podcast. My name is Isaiah.
My name's Eric.
And we are so excited for you to be joining us here today. If you are new with us, we are also especially glad that you are here with the Barely Friends. If you are new, we are, to sum up, a sports podcast. Two friends want to talk about sports, mainly NBA and Celtics, but we'll sometimes dabble in football, WNBA, other sports, the like. We are super excited because we have a YouTube channel. So you should see on the screen here, there are a couple QR codes. One is for our YouTube channel and one is for our Facebook page. YouTube channel just has our main videos and some shorts, while our Facebook page has information on the podcast. If we have to, cancel or reschedule, that information will be there. So please, we would love for you to subscribe and follow. Also, if these, I tested on my phone and these QR codes seem to work side by side, but they don't, please comment and we will change it for next episode. But Eric, I don't know if I told you, maybe I did, but we are also streaming on other platforms as well in other areas. So we are, we're mainly in New Bedford. Okay.
Nice.
Channel 95 Cable Access Network. Thank you so much. We are also in Fall River, our sister city,
nice.
Some would say. We're a few local channels there. And then, and I'm still, coming away with this, exciting stuff. We are also now in California. We're also out in California right now. We are in specifically the San Francisco Bay Area, even more specifically Palo Alto, California region, local channels there. If you're out there, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. We're probably gonna, if we're gonna talk about anything California-wise, it's gonna be probably the Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson moving away from Golden State. That is a possibility, but we're mainly, again, Celtics, New England. But please continue to tune with us. We're more than happy that you're here.
Yeah,
so.
I was just in San Francisco in July of this year, so definitely felt like a second home and away. I enjoyed my visit there, and I'm glad to have us on TV there as well.
For sure, yeah. And I've been in San Francisco too. It's a beautiful city. It's fantastic. I would love to visit again. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Now, the last thing before we kind of get into our program, I just want to give an extra shout out to the second man next to me who is doing the Barely Friends podcast, Eric, otherwise known as the Wreckage. Right here, shown on your screen are 3 of his album covers. The 4th is a woman that we do not know, but she is confused and wondering, like most of us, when a 4th album when we come out. So Eric, if you want to talk a little bit more about your music and if there is going to be a second album coming up, just anything revolved around your work.
Yeah, so I actually did have a vision for this possible 4th album.
Okay.
Now, of course, we have that woman there, Confused. If you do notice, my first album's Eccentric with the E.
Yes.
I put that out back in about 2020.
Okay.
And then we have R Ruby. That was 2021. And we've got Iconic. That's in 2023, last year.
Okay.
And then my last one, my next one, I don't know if I'm doing my last, but I want to make it start with a C.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why is because if you take each letter from my last 3 albums, it spells out E-R-I, and we need to finish with that C.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And there was a word that I remember you telling me before, and I'm not sure if you remember what that word was. Was it on like a soda can or some sort of drink?
So it is kind of funny. You were with me for that day.
Yes.
I had a stick of deodorant.
Oh, yes.
And I actually ran out of that deodorant. And I was like, we need to go buy this. And actually, you were with me for that trip.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was called Caste Mundial.
Okay. Yep.
And I believe that means world class in Spanish or in Latin.
Yes.
So I thought it was an amazing title. Fits really the vibe of what I've been going through these last couple years.
For sure.
And I think it'd be a great a great C title.
Absolutely. I totally 100% agree. You are world class. E-Records is world class. So that has to be a part of one of your albums. So again, congratulations for just what you've got going on. And I just want to spread the love and what you're doing. So also, one last thing I forgot. This we're built different. I'm sure some of you may be wondering, what is that about? It's our slogan. It's our new slogan. This is new. Essentially, to sum up what it's about, everyone is in some way built different. All right. This is all it's talking about is uniqueness. And, the Barely Friends podcast, we're just trying to be unique. And the way we do that is just being ourselves. So that's all it is. I know, my former students may have some other definitions, other ways of talking about that, but that's how we define it here.
Yeah,
so
certainly built different.
certainly built different. Absolutely 100%. All right, let's get to our main program with starting with some breaking news. So definitely starting with sad news coming out of the NBA. Dikembe Mutombo passes away age 58 due to brain cancer. I have some just stats here, some figures here. He is a Hall of Famer, 8-time All-Star, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, 3-time All-Defensive First Team, 2-time rebounding leader, 3-time NBA blocks leader. It was with a few teams: Hawks, Nuggets, Rockets, etc. That's from the Basketball Hall of Fame network. But he was out of our. He was not in our era, essentially, right? Like he did play, I think, up until 2008, 2009. But I don't recall watching him.
Yeah, that maybe be one of our first years watching. Maybe. Yeah. I started watching NBA around 2010, 2011, so I just missed him. But of course, I know all of his stories from the 90s and early 2000s.
For sure, yeah, and I know he did a bunch of stuff outside of basketball too, for the sport, outside of the sport. So definitely sad, and just acknowledging his greatness. Hall of Famer. He's one of the best, and since we are NBA. Mainly NBA podcast. We just wanted to send our condolences and best wishes there. Other sad news, but totally different scales of sadness. Derrick Rose, has retired from the NBA. I will say real quick before we get into his accolades, he is he is my favorite player that I've seen play in the NBA. His explosiveness, his quickness. I was watching just some of his highlights, his buzzer beaters. He was one of the best to ever play, and would have been one of the best to play ever, if not going for his ACL injury that took place in 2012. He was a fiend, and I remember getting D Rose's, like, his shoes as a kid, and he was really special. Really special.
Definitely. I do think that it was nice to see him branch out his career. I know that, of course, we had that injury with the Bulls, but he was able to make a nice comeback, I would say, with the Timberwolves for a little bit.
Yeah.
So it is nice that he continued to persevere and keep going with his career despite having this injury.
Yes.
So that was great to see. I will say I do have a favor towards Isaiah Thomas's season with the Celtics. Like that, he just completely blew up that season.
Sure.
But I still have respect for Derrick Rose as a point guard, and yeah, I'm pretty successful career regardless.
Absolutely. And real quick, just to shed light on how impactful that injury was to him. And this is from Berkeley University. When the first 4 years as he was a Bull, 21.1 points per game, 6.8 points per game, and played 279 games total when those first 4 seasons. Last 4 seasons as a Bull, 60.9 points per game, 4.8 assists per game, and only 127 games played. So he obviously did come back and play for the Knicks and Timberwolves, and maybe possibly another team. But yeah, again, one of my favorite players, and yeah, he would have been one of the greats.
Well, I mean, now that he's retired, he might have some time to come and do some talk shows.
That's true.
Podcasts.
That's true. He does have some availability, unless he goes into his own podcast world, which I'm sure is a possibility, and he'd do great in. But if you're watching Derrick Rose, come on in. We're
open. Got your sneakers over here.
Yeah, I got your sneakers. I still do. They don't fit me anymore, but I got your sneakers, so I'm a fan. I'm a big fan. All right, last bit of breaking news. Actually, right now we do have a lot of sports happening right now. MLB, football, a lot of stuff going on. But in terms of NBA breaking news, And this was a surprise. And this actually happened. If you want to go watch our second episode, our last episode, we kind of talked about this. We didn't talk about this particular play. We talked about Joel Embiid going to the Knicks, but Karl Anthony Towns has been traded to the Knicks. That is not a cheer. That's more of a whoa, crazy NBA happening. So crazy trade. Cat to the Knicks in exchange for let me get it right here. Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. Eric, your thoughts on kind of this trade, and was it really surprising to you when you heard it?
I definitely was surprised. I feel like the Timberwolves and Knicks both had a fairly successful season, considering where they were previously.
Yeah.
Talking about Julius Randle, I believe he was injured towards the later part of this last season.
Yeah.
And Karl Anthony Towns has a history of being injury plagued. So the main thing I'm concerned with for, I'd say both teams really, is just, who's going to be more healthy in the future. I think Karl Anthony Towns gets the edge of being a better player just because of his 3-point shooting. But they're both amazing centers, and I think that they'll both greatly help their teams. I don't think any team necessarily lost a trade. DiVincenzo's a good player, but he's a role player. He's just going to do his job, but I don't really see him being a big factor in the trade, in my opinion.
For sure. Yeah. I also agree that this is going to be more of an even trade than maybe some people think. You think Cat and he's a superstar. Now this team that just got Mikal Bridges, the New York Knicks, like they're going to be almost a super team and compete with the Celtics, which we could talk about. But I just want to share the lineups real quick and just take a quick look at these teams' potential starting five. The New York Knicks have Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Anunoby, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, and Karl Anthony Towns. Whereas the Wolves have Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards, Jalen McDaniels, Julius Randle, and Rudy Gobert. And while it looks really good on paper for the Knicks, you got now an all-star center who is solidified in that position if healthy. The Wolves are no slouch either. They were a super good team last year, and now you just add Julius Randle, who may have some interesting dynamics as a character, as a personality, and that may be interesting with Anthony Edwards. However, as a basketball talent, just looking at that, he's a great scorer. He can handle the ball to a degree, especially at his position. So it's an even trade. And I think who had the better, like you were saying, who had the better edge on that side? I don't know. It's definitely a toss-up.
Yeah. What I will say is that Karl Anthony Towns is one of my favorite centers, and a lot of that comes down to character. I think just watching him come up in college, like, he's accomplished a lot academically. He's a very smart individual. He's very involved with charities. Seems to be a very nice guy overall from what I've seen from interviews.
Yeah.
So overall, that's the kind of guy I'd want in my locker room. So I would, love to have Karl Anthony Towns on the Celtics, and I think that he's going to be a great fit for the Knicks.
Absolutely. This Knicks team is going to be legit. Now they have to be put in the contender aspect. Where it comes up with the Celtics, we're not sure. They do play the first game of the season, October 22nd, and I will not be able to watch that game, at least for the majority, because, and this may sound silly, but I will be in I will be doing improv.
Wow, that's pretty silly.
I'll be doing some improv. It's a performance. Like, I've been doing like a beginner's class, and so that's gonna be the last class, and it'll be a performance. So yeah, I saw that and I'm like, that's a little tough, but I gotta be there for the performance. I gotta be there for the team of improvers. So
yeah, just like the Celtics, you gotta be there for your teammates.
Exactly. That's the way it goes. So all right, let's transition now into some more NBA. You like that?
That's
like
new.
That?
That's like a fairy sound.
Like magic, right? Let's do it again. Magical, right? Oh, and then transition segments. This is gonna be just NBA stuff, more so preseason, because I think preseason games has begun. I actually confident because I saw something about Bronny, and we're not gonna go into Bronny today, but we will probably in future episodes. But preseason is beginning, and we have some preseason predicaments or predictions that we both have in mind. We have some, and we did this last year as well. Top 5 teams and our top 3 MVPs for this year, looking into the 2024-2025 season. Eric, let's start with you. Let's just start with top 5 teams first. Who are your top 5 coming into the season?
Yep. So I'm just going to name the teams. At number 1, I've got the Boston Celtics.
Of course.
Number 2, I've got the Denver Nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, I've got the Minnesota Timberwolves. 4, the New York Knicks. And 5, the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay. All right. So we'll just name the 5, and then I'll name my 5, and then we'll kind of debate and go over what's going on here. So my 5, my number 1 is also Boston Celtics. Number 2, Denver Nuggets. Number 3, Oklahoma City Thunder. Number 4, Minnesota Timberwolves. And number 5, this is kind of a cop-out, but I put the Mavericks / the Knicks because I was like, I don't really know. They're like right there on that 5th, 6th bubble for me. So we're pretty confident in the top 2 teams, Boston Celtics and Denver Nuggets. And then we also both have the Minnesota Timberwolves and kind of both the Knicks.
Yeah.
But really what's different is I've added the Oklahoma City Thunder while you've added the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, last year, I did a very poor mistake for me. I put the Milwaukee Bucks, I'm pretty sure, I put them in the top 5, but I believe I put them number 1, which was not not good.
A bit of a cold take.
That was very cold, pretty poor on my end. So I kind of am like, they're still top 10 for me, but I'm not putting them in my top 5 after last season. And also, just because I don't feel confident in Doc Rivers, I don't feel confident that Damian Lillard, and I mean, they did have a full season, a full offseason, so maybe they'll get better, but I don't buy in that they'll be top 5 this season.
Yeah, I will say that Doc Rivers, I think he's still riding the coattails of his Celtics championship.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's been 16 years. Like, it's kind of like those people who still brag about their high school achievements. Like the time I was class president.
Right. Yeah. Right.
I'm just kidding. But I actually was. Oh,
yeah.
But anyways, Doc Rivers, that was 16 years ago. Like, since then, he hasn't done anything. He had the Bucks. He had the Clippers. That's really all that comes to mind. But I think that Mike Budenholzer, who won the championship with the Bucks 2 or 3 years ago,
yep,
he should have never got fired. And I think later on in the show, we'll talk about coaches and firings. And,
yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Yes, we will.
I feel like with Damian Lillard, a guy who's been able to take his Trailblazers to playoffs so many times consistently, him and Giannis will be able to blend pretty well together.
Yeah.
And I think they just needed that time to gel. Same thing with the Dallas Mavericks. The season before their finals run, they sucked.
Yeah.
They came back. They got better.
Yep.
I think they just need a season to gel.
For sure. Yeah. I think, yeah, I agree with your sense of that. Maybe it is just a time thing for the Bucks, and they do need to, and maybe that's just it. They need to solidify in chemistry and whatnot. They do have the talent. They also are, I would say, a little bit of an older team. Looking at it, I'm not sure everyone's age, but Chris Middleton is up there. Brook Lopez is up there, right? These guys are, getting up there in age. So that's everything, but they're still gonna be a contender. They're gonna be top 4, maybe top 3 in the East. So I just think there's more teams in the West, like the Oklahoma City Thunder, who just got Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso. I do believe that they're going to be a legit contender. The Mavericks beat them last year, and I think that was an upset in most eyes. So I think the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to be good for a long time because they're young and they're really good. They made it farther probably than people thought last year. So that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have a reason why I wouldn't rank the Thunder higher. I feel really it's just that the Nuggets are so great in the West as well as the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
That I feel like they'll end up eclipsing the Thunder for this coming standings. But the Thunder will 100%, in my opinion, make the playoffs.
For sure.
It's just that when it comes to West Conference, it really is the Wild Wild West. And there's a lot of great teams.
There are a lot of great teams. It's going to be loaded again. Like last year, it's probably going to be loaded for a long time just because all this young talent is in the West for the most part. But yeah, so we're pretty confident. Again, for me, all right. Let me pick the number 5 instead of going the Mavs, Knicks. I'll go Knicks. I'm just gonna go on the hype train of Karl Anthony Towns and that addition. I'll go Knicks. But Mavs also got Klay Thompson, so it's very tight for me. But I'll go Knicks. Okay, I'll go Knicks.
My real question too is and I know I didn't rank them there either, but the Mavericks just made the NBA Finals. So, I mean, I know my reason, but what's the reason why you're not including them in your top 5?
Well, like it's a pick 'em for me. Like
Oh, no,
it's
I
a
mean, like, why aren't they, like, 2 or 3 or
oh, that's true. I I know I just don't it definitely was not luck for me for the Dallas Mavericks entering into the championship last year. However, I didn't I mean the Celtics walloped them.
Yeah.
Right? Pretty much. I remember game 2 was like 30 points or something like that. Like it was 20 30 points. It was absolutely dominant. So, I just don't see them. They have Luca, who is amazing, and we're gonna talk about Luca very soon here. And they have Kyrie Irving, who has his off the court shenanigans, but is an amazing talent, and not just got Klay Thompson. I just Boston Celtics is obvious for us. I mean, they have the
Yeah.
same talent, like they're gonna be great, healthy. If it staying healthy, they're gonna be great. Denver Nuggets, I just like Jokic too much. And don't sleep on Russell Westbrook. Don't like throw him back. Throw him back. He can still. If it's not talent wise, it's the tenacity and just his character and personality that can uplift the team. So I think Nuggets will still be up there. And then Thunder, I put the Thunder up there right now, even though the Mavericks beat them last year. They just acquired 2 fantastic pieces, and I can't. Yeah, I don't know. I that's probably not the best analysis, but I gotta put it mainly just because I think Oklahoma, is more talented than
Oh, yeah, I
the
feel like
Mavericks.
people are definitely underrating Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, I think that move. I don't think that move's probably been talked about a lot, but I'm sure it will be talked about once he puts in the work over there in Denver. So, all right, let's transition into our MVPs. Oh, whoops. There we go. Let's transition into our MVP race. I guess I'll start with my top 3, and then Eric, we can go into yours. But mine top 3 would have to be Nikola Jokic, number 1. So this would be number 4, I think, for MVPs for him. Should have been number 5 because Joel Embiid's not the I don't know, that's gonna trigger people, but he could be number 4 for him. I have Jason Tatum up there number 2, and then I have Luka Doncic number 3.
Yeah. So for my own list, I have Luka Doncic as my MVP. I have Nikola Jokic as number 2, and then Giannis Antetokounmpo as number 3.
Okay, all right. So we're riding high on that Bucks wave here. We put him top 5, and you put Giannis in the top 3. What do you think is gonna? So let me see. So I guess let's start with you had Giannis, and you do not have Jason Tatum on at all. What do you think makes Giannis eclipse Tatum this year for MVP?
Yeah, I do know that Jason Tatum really does do well in the regular season, and really it's the playoffs we see issues with him. But talking about Giannis, it was only 2 or 3 years ago where many of us were considering to be the best player in the world. And I do feel like with the NBA, the way it works is we have generational players, and we really were, we had this idea of Giannis being that player for the 2020s.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily think he's going to be like that big star figurehead of the era, like the same way Michael Jordan was and LeBron James was. But I think he's going to have that kind of like Kevin Durant role. He comes in and out throughout the years. And I just feel like last season, I know he was injured. This season, I'm hoping he comes back rehabilitated and he makes a better case for himself for this year's MVP.
For sure, yeah. If he wants to like have the Bucks as an entire whole make a big run, like win a championship, it's gonna have to be mainly on his shoulders. I know last year there was some chatter about, is Damian Lillard gonna be the next one, because they had that segment when Giannis was out, and then Dame had to carry because there was like no one else to really carry that load, and he popped up. But this is Giannis's team, and I think he's gonna need to be MVP, like, for them to make it to the championship. So that is a valid argument with Giannis. I will say with Tatum, I do not have him in my top 3 for MVP last year, just because same note, like he's not a playoff, kind of like elite talent. He's not clutch yet. Doesn't have that gene, but I think, I think this year, I think he has a chip on his shoulder. And I think that chip on his shoulder was him getting snubbed by his teammate, Jaylen Brown, in the MVP race for the finals. So this is, it's different because we're not talking playoffs. We're talking regular season. But I think now that Tatum has the championship, he has it on his back, like, and he's this team now is like he can, trust his team. I think now he can chase after that MVP, and maybe I think he'll want it a little more this year than maybe in other seasons.
Yeah, and the reason why I give this edge to Luka Doncic specifically is because I know last season his averages were crazy off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is with this Celtics team, and I really do value it, it's team basketball because we have an all-star starting five, right? We have Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, White, Holiday, and you can even say Al Horford's a great six-man.
Mm-hmm.
So Tatum doesn't need to be carrying the team. And, when we talk about MVP, we talk about a player who is carrying the team and is being this foundation, setting the structure, which in a way he does. But if Tatum gets hurt or if something happens, we can go to Brown, we can go to Porzingis. So Tatum really isn't, by definition, the most valuable player in the league.
True. And especially, right, it's hard if you're going to put him in the MVP category with that all-star team. You just got too many weapons, too many pieces. Like, of course he's going to be MVP. Of course. It just he would have to make himself stand alone amongst these all-stars and like allow him to just be a beast among mini beasts. I don't know.
Yeah.
he would have to really solidify.
But he definitely does have a chance.
Yeah. For sure. Real quick, let's talk real quickly our number one. So you have Luka, I have Nikola. Your reason Luka number one this season?
Yeah, honestly, it was very close for me. I could have picked Jokic or I could have picked Doncic, like very, very close.
Yep.
But honestly, it was just the stats for me. Doncic just went off. He had like 37-something points per game last season. Jokic's been consistent the last 3 or 4 years. So I would very well see him getting that 4th MVP. But it really just comes down to Doncic having those monster stats. And Jokic's a great consistent player. But I see more explosiveness and more like I said, stats from Doncic.
For sure. And I think for me with Luka, what he's gonna have to do to make him in a tight MVP race, the stats were there, right? You're saying last year, like he was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But his team overall, I forget the seeding, but they were around 5th, 6th, I think maybe mid, right? Mid in the West, and again, the West is stacked. But I think overall the Mavericks have to be a top 3 Western Conference team for him to be considered MVP, or he'll be considered MVP if he gets the same stats. But I think if he's gonna compare to Jokic or Giannis, his whole team, he's gonna have to carry his whole team a little more than he usually is. I mean, he always is. I mean, he's absolutely, again, phenomenal. But I think he will need to. They will need to be overall like a top 3 seed for me.
And then on the flip side, why did you choose Jokic as yours?
It's a great question. He's just phenomenal. I mean, he does the same thing over and over again. He's unstoppable. Like he's still relatively young. And this Nuggets team looks like it's going to be again a championship contender, and we're all waiting for the Celtics Nuggets championship. We're waiting for that to happen. Hopefully it's this year. But Jokic he does everything. He scores, he passes, he can rebound the ball. Like who he is as a talent, like he should be every year. It's just, then the numbers just have to be there. But yeah, I don't know until I'm missing something. It's going to be Jokic for me, number one, moving forward. You can't really lose on that. So that's what I'm going to say. All right, let's move on to some other basketball news into the WNBA. We have a few updates here. First being, like Eric kind of foreshadowed in the beginning, there was a coach that got fired in the WNBA. That was the Chicago Sky's head coach. She was fired. The Chicago Sky had a 13-27 record and missed the playoffs. And their star player, Angel Reese, had something to say about this. Now, I don't have the full quote. This is coming from CBS Sports. I don't have the full quote because it was long. It was very long. But I have a good chunk of it. So this is we're gonna say this real quick. So She says, I'm heartbroken. I'm literally lost for words, knowing what this woman meant to me in such a pivotal point in my life. She was the only person that believed in me, the one that trusted me. Many don't even know, what it's like to be a black woman in sports when nobody believes in you. You had a tough job, all the crazy circumstances that we went through this year. And when your back was against the wall, you always believed. I came to Chicago because of you. You were an unsung hero in my life.
It sounds like you lost your coach, like the way you're reading that.
I know. It sounds like, I know, right? Like, it's so, like, oh my God, I did. Yeah. I mean, that is a lot of passion in that. And, I don't know. I mean, she got drafted by them, right? First of all. So, like, she didn't, right? I don't know where she said, I came to Chicago because of you. I mean, you got drafted, right? Unless you really have a choice. You have a choice, right? So that's interesting. But, I will say, just the firing aspect. Let's set aside injuries for a second. I don't believe she needed to be fired. You come in the season with 2 top 10 picks, Cardoza and Angel Reese, and what do you expect? Like you had those picks because your team wasn't good, and now you don't give this coach another chance to give this team another year, another offseason with the talent. They got some talent. They have definitely some good pieces there. So I think, interesting, this is a little bit of a conspiracy theory, but I'm curious if the Fever did not make the playoffs as well with Caitlin Clark being a top pick. I wonder if they would have fired her. I don't know. That's just a thought. Food for thought.
I know that with the you played for the Chicago Sky, Angel Reese.
Yes.
So I know for Caitlin Clark, she really is the franchise of the Indiana Fever.
Yeah.
And I feel like if Clark loves her coach and they want to fire her coach, like if she'll basically be able to veto that, in my opinion. Kind of the same treatment LeBron James gets.
Yep.
I feel like Clark's at that point in a rookie year.
Yeah.
Reese, I know Reese had hype coming out of college. I don't necessarily think she's going to be the next generation of superstars. I'm really looking more towards Juju Watkins at this point.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think it's going to be Clark, and I think Juju Watkins is going to be the next big WNBA star.
Yeah, I mean, I will say to back up Reese on what you just said, she did get a double record, and sometimes those double records are misleading because if you miss a lot of shots to grab your own rebound, right? Like that
can't be a good idea,
right? That would, that's how Shaq would do it, right? Oh, sorry, that wasn't. I mean, I didn't mean to do that. But no, but she's gonna be good. She's gonna be solid. But I think it's a little bit much with her comments on the coach. Yeah, a lot of passion, a lot of emotion, just like with Celtics fans and Marcus Smart. At that time, there's a lot of emotion. So I don't think, but I do think it was a little bit. I don't think she should have gotten fired.
Yeah, the thing too is with the NBA and the WNBA, there really is a trend of different coaches getting fired after having one losing season, and we saw this happen with the Bucks, as I mentioned before. We had Mike Budenholzer. I can't recall the coach between that.
Sure.
But then we had Doc Rivers come in. So that was all over the course of, I think, maybe a year and a half.
Right.
But they're very trigger happy with their coach firings. And same thing with Dwayne Casey back in 2018, 2019. He was the coach of the year with the Toronto Raptors.
Right.
And you literally cannot get better than coach of the year. And he got fired.
Right.
So I don't get the logic behind that.
Yeah, it's a rough. It can be rough sometimes, especially in certain settings, for coaches and firing. So this is not a first, but yeah, it's strange. Definitely strange. Quick WNBA playoff updates we have here. By our next episode, like I think the finals are gonna be over. I just realized. So now we're in the semifinals and we're pretty much almost there. New York Liberty have been the past champion Aces. So they are out of it, and now Game 5, which I believe when we're recording is tonight on Tuesday. Will be against the Connecticut Sun and the Minnesota Lynx. Hoping the Sun get in because New England, and they're just a really good, top defensive team. But the Lynx are also very good. So, but that is just some quick updates on NBA, WNBA.
What's your prediction?
Who's gonna win Game 5?
Well, in general, like for the whole league. For the
whole league. Who's gonna win like championship?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Liberty. And they're number 1 seed overall. But like Sabrina Ionescu, she is a phenom, and Breonna Stewart. I think she went to this team this year. Could definitely be wrong. Fact check on me, please, and then comment. But I believe that she went on this team, and they're loaded, and they just beat the shit lads. They just beat Aja Wilson, 3-time MVP now. She just won MVP this year.
Yeah,
So
honestly, before that series, I thought Las Vegas was winning it all.
yeah, I thought, I will say I was going Aces too. I knew they were a 4th seed, so I knew they weren't like as good as usual, but I would have had the Aces as well. Going back to back.
Just for the sake of competitiveness, I'm gonna say the Suns are gonna win the whole thing.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I'm gonna be very biased and have the Sun here, but I'm gonna go Liberty. I think just talent wise, they're gonna be good. We have a quick update on fantasy, and this is gonna be very quick because I don't really want to talk about. I don't really want to talk about this team or my team this much, but yeah, real quick, I'll say where it's changed. Eric now is where are you now, Eric? You are 8th now, which I think you were what? Around there, 7th, maybe
7th, 8th, around
7th there, right? Ty is still number 2, and I am number 11. So yeah, it's been rough. I'm not gonna go into my whole thing because it'll sound like I'm crying and whining and all that stuff. But it's been tough for my team. I want to do a different draft style, and my team is not necessarily bad. I have the top 4 most points. I'm number 4 in points scored, but number 1 points against. So teams last week I got destroyed by like 50 to 70 points. So that's like every week for me. So
yeah, I know I just lost this last matchup by 3 points this week, and it's kind of been a trend. Like the 3 losses I have been within like 3 to 5 points.
yeah.
So it's a competitive team. It just looks misleading with the losing record.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Like, we're trying to trade with each other.
Oh,
we won't share deets. We won't share deets if the other people in our league are trying to, we're trying to keep that still. But we're trying to make something for both our teams to be competitive. We're trying to have something, but we're still in the talks.
It's gonna be a league changing.
Yeah, absolutely league changing, man. I hope you're ready for our league is called New England's very own. I hope you're ready, New England's very own, for what is to come.
Very big moves.
Very, very big moves coming out of that league. All right, what in the world? Eric, let's kind of go with yours. I'll skip mine. I mean, well, all right, I'll just say mine real quick. I'm not gonna go into detail. I want you to go more into detail on yours because it's very interesting.
Okay,
but mine is and again, our What in the World segment. If you're new, it is just something that we find weird, crazy, different. We just want to talk about. So mine is that Michael Jordan, he has some sort of minority owned ownership on a NASCAR team, and he just sued NASCAR for my friends from F1. I have some friends, I think, who watch the show from F1 would kind of explain to me more on what the heck's going on. But essentially, MJ said that NASCAR, or there's NASCAR teams that have, and I quote, monopolistic bullies. So like, essentially, I butchered that. I'm like, what? I don't know how to say that. Essentially, there's monopolies like in NASCAR, and they're, I don't know, they're taking MJ off.
Yeah, maybe like they buy their parts from one person, or just like making it uncompetitive as far as like crafting, and I don't know the full details. But.
Sure, right. That's why I just found it interesting because like you see MJ in the light, and it's not basketball related whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, like you see LeBron outside, talking about basketball and what he's doing for the game, and MJ, it's NASCAR. So yeah. I don't know, very, very interesting.
Yeah. So actually, I'll sneak in my second one in the world since we got some more time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna start with the one that I've got for football.
Okay. Yes.
So just recently, the New York Giants fired their coach, Robert Saleh.
Okay. Yeah.
And the team has a 2-3 record. So there's actually rumors on the internet, not to be taken too true, but Bill Belichick could possibly be their next coach.
Whoa! And Celtics fans are are very ticked off about that.
And we, of course, know that the Patriots and Jets have a big rivalry,
Yes.
and that part of Bill Belichick's war with the Patriots started with the Jets. So there's a lot of very intense history between the two groups. What do you think about the rumors?
Yeah. Look, I got a few things. Okay, I got a few. Let me try to answer your question first. Belichick I don't know if y'all have been watching Belichick on the Manning cast, so it's like Monday Night Football, but it's just Eli and Peyton Manning talking about the game. He's fantastic. Like it's different commentating versus coaches, right? Like we couldn't coach, say, an NBA basketball team probably anytime soon. Maybe you could, Eric. I don't know how to say I will, but it's not 1-to-1 if you're, comment. But Belichick has obviously been a proven coach. And the reason why he's not in the league, I don't believe, is because it's not necessarily his coaching ability. It's more so that teams believe that he will take over ownership. And, he hasn't been the best GM and any stretch of the, like as a Patriots fan and watching him, he has not drafted well. However, I don't know. I mean, if he has some ties with the Jets, I don't know. Like, if I'm thinking Bill Belichick is going to come back coaching, I think it's going to be a team that is roster ready. It's not going to worry about like drafting for the future. And the Jets team, you can say, like, they got the defense. Like, if Bill Belichick is going to coach defense, it's a Jets defense because that Jets defense is really good with Sauce Gardner and the rest and the crew. But the offense looks good as well with Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. But Aaron Rodgers hasn't looked that good. He's looked kind of old. He's throwing a lot of interceptions. And so, I think it's a fine destination. And I think they would be a much better team if he went to that team. But, I mean, it's an open spot. It's an open place for him. I mean, if he wants it, he'll take it. So, we'll see.
I'm pretty much in agreement with that.
Yeah.
Going with Bill Belichick, of course. His last coaching job was with the Patriots, and now he's a free agent doing his Manning casks. Like you said, Aaron Rodgers is looking pretty old. And, I mean, the Jets do have a 2-2 record, so they're still in contention, of course, for the playoffs. It's still very early in the season.
Yeah.
But I don't see this team really going that far to begin with. And if I'm Bill Belichick and I want to have a winning culture around me, honestly, my choices would be, and this might be a little bit of a shocker, I would choose Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay.
Or Miami Dolphins.
Oh, okay. So Tampa Bay is not. It's not as much of a shocker as Miami right now, because Miami right now they're just. I mean, right now how it's looked without Tua, they've been a complete mess.
Mm-hmm.
So I think with Miami, I think it's gonna be more coaching, and they need to be like really healthy. Like they need Tua, really, really bad. Bucks is interesting as well. I mean, they've looked pretty good. They might have lost 2 straight. I think they're around 3-2. But I think if I were to say one or the other, I would say probably the Bucks.
Yeah, and the reason for my choices too is Tom Brady, of course, finished his career with the Buccaneers, and he had a lot of great offensive weapons.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield came in, and the team's been doing amazing too, beating expectations. So I think that just the offensive weapons available to them, including the Dolphins, who have Tyreek Hill and Waddle, right? I feel like they just need to find a good quarterback besides Tua, or hopefully get Tua healthy. But really, their quarterback's just like the biggest position they need help with.
Yeah, and their defense has not been good. However, they have the talent where they should be really good. So maybe Bill Belichick could turn that around. And then if Dolphins had a good defense, if Tua's healthy, they are legit contenders, I would say. Except if they play in the cold, because they can't really play in the cold in the playoffs. So, but yeah, Belichick, we'll see. Unfortunate for Robert Saleh and the Jets, but he was not a good coach. So we'll leave it there. We'll enter into probably our final segment of the day, which is our mailbag segment. And you know, this is just, we're gonna shout out some people who have comments just in general, or if people have questions. And there's a question that came through, and it came from my friend, but at Jaku, however you want to say it, FO6XK, and he asked, "Do you think Mitchell Robinson will stay on the Knicks following the Cat Randall trade? If Robinson gets traded, where do you think he could thrive?" Eric, do you want to take a first stab at that question?
Sounds good. Yeah, so of course the Knicks had a successful playoff run, Eastern Conference Finals or around there. So my real problem with the team is Josh Hart, and I just don't like that he's a power forward at 6'4". I really can't evaluate him as a full player. I'm sure has talents, but I just feel like it would be a better combination to have Robinson and Cat side by side, give some tallness to the roster.
Sure.
So I think Robinson would be beneficial to keep on the team, and especially if Cat is injury prone, they may need Robinson to be in the lineup. But yeah, I think he'd be a good fit either by Cat or in front of Cat, replacing him, whatever. But if he decides to leave, he could go to a small market team and kind of build his resume up, like the New Orleans Pelicans or the Utah Jazz. Because right now Mitchell Robinson is a respectful center, but he's not necessarily a star or a very well-known one.
Sure. Yeah. I do believe, I feel like I don't really have a specific team where Robinson could go if he didn't stay the Knicks. I just think I think he's a solid piece, any place where where there's a need for a backup center. I mean, I think he's that talented enough to be in that position. It's just injuries. So maybe it would be a good thing for him to just be a backup in any case, even in New York, so that he doesn't have as much pressure on his, physical abilities, and he could stay healthier for postseason. But if he's healthy, he's a starting center, I would say, in the league. So it's just unfortunate he has those injuries. Yeah, I think if I'm leaning to whether or not he's going to stay or go, I think I'm going to lean towards he's staying. I just think, I can't think of another player they have right now that would be a backup center for Cat. So I think, keep him there. And, I know you mentioned Josh Hart. He was a beast on the boards. I will just say it is definitely smaller, right? It is smaller in the lineup, but interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's not. I don't think. I think he'll stay the backup, but if he leaves, it's not too much of a surprise. I want to go back in the Knicks real quick, if we have a little time here, but I do also want to just give a shout out to Mr. Bigfoot 987. We have found Bigfoot. There we go. He says, "Great show. More Caitlin Clark news. I'm boycotting." Well, I am. I don't know if you saw. I don't know if you can see here, but I am actually wearing a Caitlin Clark t-shirt. So, I mean, if that is anything for you, sir, or ma'am, but I'm pretty sure it's a sir because I know who it is. Yeah, there you go. More Caitlin Clark. The shot was never long. You're welcome.
Yeah, more Caitlin Clark to come next WNBA season as well.
Yes.
And I want to give a shout out to one of my favorite artists, Ed Sheeran.
Oh,
I
yes,
know that last season, right? He became a Celtics fan in April.
Yep.
He's playing at Boston Common, and the day before his concert, the Celtics were playing against the Pacers, and that night he became a big, Celtics fan.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I actually got to chat with him a little bit over the internet, and I would say we were kind of like pen pals in a way, like anonymously.
Mm-hmm,
we're both a little bit busy, so we're not quite
sure. Oh yeah, 100%. You're busier than Sheeran, right? You're definitely busy.
So, but every once in a while we do like text online. So yeah.
Great, awesome. Yeah. I mean, and again, you and Ed can have a song together in collab. That would be also cool. Jason Derulo and Ed Sheeran. I mean, and then really quick, we saw that there is potentially that Marcus Smart to the Knicks. What? Are you kidding me? That's crazy. That's crazy. But that's potential. We're not sure.
That's a cliffhanger right there.
That's a cliffhanger. Yeah, we'll leave it there. Again, thank you for watching, tuning in. My name's Isaiah.
My name's Eric.
And hope to see you next episode. Thank you, everyone. Peace out.
Peace.
I had a dream last night. I wish someday it would happen. Sunset,